Let's make the vinyl version, which is called the Wendy Game Day backpack. We're not going to need the side elastic pockets. They don't work for this type of bag. You will need the pattern piece, and you will tape it together as so if you printed out the PDF version. This is actually 12 gauge vinyl. I advise, if it's your first time, to use 10 gauge vinyl. It's just a touch softer and pliable, but I like my bags are 12 gauge, so that's what I'm going to use. Okay, let me put those pieces away. Take one roll. You'll need 2 rolls, and this is available in my Etsy shop. These are not full rolls, just so you know. I'm trying to use my scraps up. Okay. I usually weigh it down with something. I'll use my phone, whatever's laying around that's close. And then I just use a rotary cutter and cut out the pieces. So you need to cut 2 pieces of the backpack main body piece. And then we also need that super long zipper panel piece, which is 6 inches by 67. So I'm definitely going to have to sew it together here. Let me cut the first section. Okay, so make sure this is 6 inches by 67. So I've got these 2 main body pieces, 2 slip-in pocket pieces, and 1 long zipper panel. I'm hoping this shows up on camera. Okay, I'm going to measure that zipper panel to make sure it is 67 inches long. 64, 65, 66, 67, almost perfect. Now at that seam where I sewed the vinyl together, I'm going to fold the seam allowance, like press it down with my fingers, and I'm going to top stitch along there just to hold that in place a little bit better. I've got the Teflon foot on the sewing machine. That is a must. Fold all this up. Gutermann thread is in the machine. Whatever polyester blend thread you have that's strong will work. I just do not recommend all cotton thread because cotton tends to break and snap. So just like with the quilting cotton version, we're going to measure up. I'm going to need some weights when you work with vinyl to hold it down. We're going to measure up, I believe it's 12 inches. Yes, 12 inches, and make a mark. Now, for this video, I'm going to use a Sharpie. You can use an erasable pen or something that will just wipe right off like a dry erase marker, but I want you to really see what I'm doing here. I'm making a line at 12 inches and then another line at 37 inches. So here's 34, 35, 36, 37. I'm going to make a line there. Same thing as with the quilting cotton version. We're going to go up 2 3/4 inches and draw a line. Take your time here. There's no hurry. Make sure you're on the edge of that vinyl. It can be hard to see sometimes if you're using the clear. Okay, so there's my line. I'm going to go 3/8 of an inch up to draw the second line. We're making the box for the zipper. Okay, you're going to cut right on the lines. Since this backpack does not have a lining, you want to cut right on the lines, and we're just going to remove the vinyl in this section. Okay, so now there's a hole here. Grab your zipper, your 30-inch double-headed zipper. I think I'm going to use pink. And you're going to lay this right on top of that. Pull those zipper heads up so they're not sitting underneath there. See that? So the zipper is in that hole we just cut. Roll up the opposite end. Roll up this end and use a clip so that it's not bothering you when you're sewing this zipper in. Now what I do, generally you don't want to use pins with vinyl because the holes don't come out. There's really no other great way to hold this zipper in place. So I stick 2 pins, one on each short end, and then on these ends I do a satin stitch to cover the holes. If you don't care about tiny pin prick holes, then just ignore it. But we're gonna keep it like this while we sew this zipper in place. You will have to use your Teflon foot for this. Unless you have a zipper Teflon foot, you could use that if you have one. I recommend using the same color as your zipper. I'm using white so you can see what I'm doing. I'm going to come down here and hold it in place. I'm not pulling. That edge of the Teflon foot is just hitting the teeth. It's like keeping me in line. That's why on this bag it's really important you use a handbag zipper because you'll have enough room on the zipper tape to do this. Otherwise it will be more challenging. It can be done, but it'll just be a challenge. Here's the end. That vinyl edge just butts up next to the teeth. can trim away your excess zipper or you can leave it there. It's kind of cool to see the ends. It's really up to you. If you do trim it away, use some fray check on the ends so it doesn't look messy later. I'll leave that end. Grab the two pocket pieces and lay them oriented like this. We're going to bind the top edges. So I use my cheater method for the binding for the vinyl because it's very easy to see. I slip the vinyl edge right into the fold of the binding. Use clips to hold it in place and then sew it down. Use a matching thread color. I'm going to use white so you can see what I'm doing. I still recommend using the Teflon foot because part of the foot is on the vinyl. Now, I made the pocket bigger so that it does overlap. So if it's too much overlap, like I can see my clips won't grab the main body piece here, come along and trim this now so that your clips can hold the pieces together properly. Sometimes it's easy with vinyl to not cut it exactly correctly. So if that's happening now, like it is for me a bit, trim so that that pocket is very straight. Now we're going to sew down side, side, and across the bottom. And then we're going to do a center line mark. Fold this in half to make a crease. And I push from the edge. Sometimes it can be sticky, so push from the edge and find, especially in that binding, find that center crease. And now you can come in with an erasable pen or a whatever can wipe off, and draw your line. There's the outside of the exterior, well, of the bag. Yay! Now the other pocket will go on the inside, so you can choose to put it on the same if you want, but I prefer to have it on the inside of the portion that's against my back. And I don't know, it just works out for me. I like it like that. Now we're ready to add the straps. Take the piece that's going to be against your back. Remember, the pockets are on the inside of the bag, so flip it over. For the hanging loop, cut a piece that is 7 inches long, 6.5 to 7 inches long, and you want to sew down each long edge to close that open tape edge. So use a matching thread color. And it's just sort of 1/8 of an inch from the edge. So now fold it into a loop and attach it at the top center. Sew across there to keep it in place. Now this can be hard to see, but that's on the outside. The pockets are on the inside. Now I'm going to put the optional key hang tab thingy-majig, whatever you want to call it. I just use a piece of binding. This one is 4.5 inches in length. I thread the lobster clasp through it. I'm going to attach it just like in the quilting cotton version, 3 inches on one of the sides, and I'll just sew right across there to attach it. Flip it back over and we'll attach the D-rings and the straps now. So take that 8-inch piece of webbing, fold it in half, and cut it. You've now got 2 4-inch pieces. Take a D-ring, thread it through, and you'll place it 4 inches in from that side edge. Same thing with the other side. 1, 2, 3, 4 inches in. This is illustrated in the diagram in the pattern. And we'll sew down across there to keep those in place. Now take your 2 pieces of 42-inch length webbing and you're going to sew it to the top, 1.5 inches from your center hanging loop. So this is 1.5 inches. 1.5 inches. Make sure they look the same. And sew across those top edges. Without twisting the webbing, which is easier said than done, take it up and over the bar. I like to just bring that up. Bring it down and thread it through the D-ring. And you're coming back up. Make some space where that center bar is, because we're coming back up and over that center bar. So thread it up and over the center again. And bring that short end down and only sew it to that bottom strap. So I always clip it in place first so I don't forget what I'm doing. In other words, you don't want to sew all of these together right here. That top one is away and you're sewing the bottom strap and the one we just threaded over the center bar together. So let's watch that again with this side. Take the strap up and over the center bar. Thread it through the D-ring and bring it back up. Make space and thread that free end up and over the center bar. Bring it back down and use a clip to hold it in place to that bottom section. And you'll sew right across there. Make sure the straps are not twisted. Use a matching thread or color it like I do. So if you don't have or didn't use a matching thread, get a Sharpie and color that thread in. And then you can't even see it. Awesome, right? Use your fray check on the ends of those webbings. Mine are already starting to fray a little bit. It just happens with handling, it's normal. Also use it down here because these will be visible since there's no lining. And at the top. While I'm here, I'm going to color these threads in. And because this bag doesn't have a lining, it's important to be trimming your threads as you go because they won't be hidden. And you don't want to have to try and fit your scissors in at the end of the bag construction and trim them. Okay, we have got 2 completed bag bodies, and we're about to put the bag together. Almost. A jig, whatever you want to call it. I just use a piece of binding. This one is 4.5 inches in length. I thread the lobster clasp through it. I'm going to attach it just like in the quilting cotton version, 3 inches on one of the sides, and I'll just sew right across there to attach it. We're ready to put the bag together. Make sure you're starting from the left side, meaning the side where the pocket is all the way down to the bottom. Take one main panel, lay it right side up facing you, and place these right sides together. The pockets should align. So the binding from the zipper panel and the sorry, it's the mailman. The bindings should match up, and with the vinyl it can be more tedious, but just ease this around and use wonder clips to hold into place. Once this is eased all the way around, you're going to bring it down to the corner. You have to sort of pinch it in and ease it and bring it over here. You're going to have the 2 ends of the zipper panel. The reason I wait till this stage to sew these ends together is in case you have the vinyl has slightly stretched or pulled just slightly. Even just a 1/2 inch can throw off the bag. So I wait until now. I clip it all the way around and make sure everything's fitting well. And then I remove a clip here, remove a clip there, and pinch these ends together. And now I will sew the zipper panel short ends together. Now that I know everything is okay and it's going to work. I'm going to sew the zipper panel ends together first. Your seam allowance might vary slightly. That's okay. Mine is a 1/2 inch. If you have to go a little bit deeper or a little bit less than 1/2 inch, that's okay. This is vinyl. Make it work. If you look at ready-made bags, they have the same thing. So don't get too caught up in that corner issue, okay? So here we are. I can see the whole thing fits. Everything's okay. I'm going to move this out of the way. This is the first side. So we're going to sew all the way around at a 1/2 inch seam allowance, making sure that everything is caught in our seams before proceeding. Right now, my zipper is closed because it's easier for me to sew like this. Before we put on the other side, we'll open the zipper. Remember, right sides are facing, so the pockets are all facing each other. It can be confusing with vinyl. I'm going to start with a corner. I'm running out of room because my space here is quite small. If you can give yourself some space when you sew this bag, it's helpful. I come down to the corner, needle down. Okay, I'm going to go in and feel all the seams, make sure everything is caught. Good. Everything is caught. Sometimes it's hard to see, and that's why for a second there I thought I was missing the bottom, but I wasn't. It's just that with the light reflection, sometimes you need to double check. Well, all the time I need to double check. All right. At this point, open the zipper of the bag. Exterior facing up, or you, or however you want to say it. I put a clip there to hold my straps in place. I think I'm gonna, I don't know. Make sure you don't sew that key fob down weird when attaching this. So exteriors are together, and you're gonna go around and clip this section in place now. The pockets should line up, more or less. I mean, if you're slightly off, try not to get too crazy, especially if it's your first time. I think too many people are hard on themselves. And yes, you want a nice product, But the first time is always the hardest, and you're sort of figuring things out. So don't be hard on yourself and judge yourself. The world has too many judgers anyways. We should all invest in Wonder Clips. Okay, now right here, this, if you did that key ring thing, make sure it's down and out of the way. You don't want to sew and have it out of the seam. If you need to fudge, fudge down in those bottom corners because nobody will notice anything down there, okay? That's the place to fudge it. All right. Okay, the pockets are lined up. Let's sew this on. Now I leave my edges inside raw because, well, one, they're not sharp, and two, I think it just looks cool. But if you wanted to bind the edges, you certainly can. You'd have like a skeleton look for the bag, which would be also cool. If anyone does that, I want to see it. Please email me or tag me on social media. And there it is. I need to go get my bubble wrap and stuff it. There's the bag. See, we've got pockets here, pockets on the side, and pockets inside. Back here. It's really unique. It's kind of 80s, which I love. And it's great for games. This is big enough that a big old blanket is going to fit in here with no problems at all. Good job. Quick note about Sharpie markings. They come right off with nail polish remover with acetone. Just a little acetone and it just disappears. All those marks I made with that Sharpie are gone.